All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there's nobody around who should really question the physical gifts that Indianapolis quarterback Anthony Richardson has. You're talking about a guy who's 6'4", nearly 250 pounds, and he's built like a tight end or an outside linebacker, as he is just simply very tough for opposing defenses to bring down. Now, aside from that, Richardson has one of the strongest arms, the strongest deep and deepest arms that currently in the NFL, as his deep throws should come with an in-flight movie and a cocktail, okay? But just because Richardson has all of the physical tools to be a quarterback in the NFL does not necessarily mean that he's ready to be one, as this young man is struggling in the early stages of his pro career. In 10 starts so far for the Colts, Richardson's record is 5-5 with 7 touchdown throws and 8 interceptions. We saw the Colts take Richardson fourth overall in last year's NFL draft. And when Indianapolis did so, Richardson was seen as a project due to the fact that he had only started 13 games collegiately at Florida, and it's shown so far in his brief NFL career. One of the knocks on Richardson at Florida was that he can make the hard throws look easy and the easy throws look hard. And it's showing so far in the NFL. You look at Richardson this season so far, he's completing under 44% of his passes, and along with some drop passes by some of his receivers, all of that mixed in together is really hindering the Colts passing game. Now, in this past Sunday's loss to the Houston Texans, Richardson was just 10 of 32 passing for a buck 75 with a touchdown throw and an interception while he was sacked 5 times. Now, Richardson did create some controversy in his post-game presser following the game when he admitted that he axed out of the game in the third quarter, being that he was tired after several rushing attempts in a row on his part, and he was substituted by veteran quarterback Joe Flacco. Now, take it for whatever it is, and take it for whatever way you want to glean it. Uh, the Colts are benching Richardson right now in favor of veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, as Indianapolis is calling it a growth opportunity for the 22-year old. But take it for whatever you want. All right. This to me, I just think is another example of an NFL team reaching on a quarterback early and then throwing him to the wolves before he was ready. You look at it, every first round pick in the NFL at quarterback is not ready to be a starter right away. I get it. You got guys in the rookie deal. Usually you got head coaches that need to win and they need to see what they have. I totally get it. I totally understand that. But even with that said, everybody's not ready to go out there and be a starting quarterback right away. And I think Anthony Richardson definitely falls in that category. And honestly, for what it's worth, I feel like Anthony Richardson should still be in school. Okay. It's one of those where he just didn't get enough seasoning, in my opinion, collegiately at Florida. It's one of those where he could make the hard throws look easy. He could make the easy throws look very hard, and he could be inconsistent at times. And that is carried over to his brief NFL career. You look at it with all of the physical tools that Anthony Richardson has that helped him quickly move up the draft boards, which is why the Colts took him fourth overall last year. And honestly, even then, I thought it was a bit of a reach. But he was, like I said, he was not ready to be a starting quarterback when Indianapolis took him. And honestly, he still isn't. I know that he injured his shoulder last year, but it really should have been a redshirt year altogether. And he's clearly still not ready for this. So there's a lot that you could look at it from and say, hey, can Richardson become the quarterback that the Colts need him to be. Possibly. I'm not going to sit up here and close the book on Anthony Richardson. This young man's only 22 years old. Okay, that's first and foremost. I think the Colts franchise, they got spoiled once upon a time by Peyton Manning. They thought they had it with Andrew Luck right after that, and they didn't do a good job as far as putting talent around Luck. And of course, the rest is history. Some are going to say, well, did Richardson's comments and the aftermath factor into the benching? Possibly. I'm not here to say that it did because I'm not inside of that facility for the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know the conversations that went on. I don't know what's going on in the locker room. You look at the Colts and they got to figure out what's next for them. And of course, Shane Steichen right now is saying, hey, Joe Flacco gives us the best chance to win right now. And you look at Joe Flacco, he's a veteran quarterback, Super Bowl MVP many years ago with the Baltimore Ravens. We saw him come off of his couch last year to help the Cleveland Browns get to the postseason. And you look at this Colts team last year with Shane Steichen. And of course, a lot of it was with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. They went 9-8, and they were right on the cusp of getting to the postseason. And if you're Shane Steichen, you know what? Maybe you don't have the time right now, at least this year, to try to wait on Anthony Richardson. I don't know, but if that's the case, why'd you take him? So high again. But nonetheless, I feel like, I'm looking at them and I guess they feel, hey, Joe Flacco gives them the best opportunity to win right now. You look at it this season, Anthony Richardson, 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 6 games. Joe Flacco in 4 games, 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. And I'll tell you like this, the Colts offense does look more fluid when Joe Flacco was out there in comparison to Anthony Richardson. Um, it's unfortunate, but you look at it, it's another first round quarterback that has gotten benched because, of course, we saw it this year with Bryce Young, the first overall pick in last year's draft, a guy who A was not ready and a guy B who went to a bad situation with the Carolina Panthers, but it didn't help Bryce Young that when another veteran quarterback replaced him earlier this year and Andy Dalton, that the Panthers offense looked a lot more fluid, similar to what we're seeing with the Indianapolis Colts and Joe Flacco. And I think it's another example of you going out there and putting these kids out there on the field when they are not ready. And for me, the other thing in the case of Anthony Richardson, I feel like this is another example of teams not doing their due diligence. And I say this because more often than not, in this current National Football League, we see more teams putting more focus on the combine and the pro days. And the reason why I bring it up is this. Everybody's supposed to look good at the combine. Everybody's supposed to look good at the pro day, especially your pro day. Why? You're out there in shorts and a t-shirt, throwing the football around, no pressure. More often than not, you're at an indoor facility throwing routes that you're very comfortable with to receivers that you're very comfortable with. Of course, everybody is going to look good, but what about the game tape? What about the game situations? Okay, that's where teams need to focus on, and they're not doing it. It's one of those again. I get it. Anthony Richardson has the physical tools at the position, but just because you have the physical tools doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to go out there and play. You look at arguably the best quarterback right now in the National Football League, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, until the final game of his rookie season, he didn't start. Okay, he had that entire year to work with Andy Reid. He had that entire year to study under veteran quarterback Alex Smith, and the rest is history. Now, I'm not saying that, well, if Richardson had just sat out his entire first year, I know he did play prior to the injury, that could have happened. I'm not saying that either. But again, at all times, everybody is not ready to take the keys to the franchise right away. So I do think the Colts are going to revisit this. I do think that the Colts are going to come back to Anthony Richardson at some point sooner rather than later. I think right now, at least for 2024, they are going to ride the Joe Flacco Express, if you will, for as long as they can. If Joe Flacco gives them an opportunity to get into the postseason, so be it. It's not probably not going to be as division winners because now Indianapolis has been swept by Houston. The Colts are 4-4. The Texans are 6-2, and theoretically, Houston has a 3-game lead over the Colts with 9 games to play due to the fact that they have now swept the season series. But if Joe Flacco does give them an opportunity to get to the postseason, I think they're going to ride that wave until they fall off. With that said, going forward from 2025 and beyond, it has to be Anthony Richardson's show with the Colts. You figure they have invested a lot on him. They took him fourth overall last year. And when you use a first round pick and it doesn't pan out, especially at the quarterback position, especially in the top 10, it really sets your franchise back. So all parties involved have to make sure that this works. Will it work long term? I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not going to say that it is. I'm not going to say that it isn't. Some are going to say right now with the numbers that maybe Anthony Richardson has regressed this year in comparison to 2023. But the bottom line is things have to get better quicker, for Richardson going forward and the Colts. I'm not going to say that he's at the crossroads of his career, but nonetheless, things definitely have to turn around and they got to turn around soon. The Colts are going with Flacco. They're going to ride that veteran arm for as long as they can, but somehow, some way, Richardson and the Colts have to figure this out in the long term. Will it happen? Only time will tell. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.